There was a healer who could cure any illness, except the one that mattered most. She lived in a valley town where people came from distant villages seeking her help. Fevers, injuries, infections, pains. She had remedies for everything. Her shelves were filled with herbs and tinctures. Her mind was filled with knowledge passed down through generations. She worked from dawn until long after dark, and her cures rarely failed. People called her a miracle worker. But there was one patient she could not help. Her own son. The boy was 12, and for 3 years, he had been sick with something she couldn't name. He grew thin and pale. He barely ate. He slept poorly and woke exhausted. She had tried every treatment she knew: herbs for the stomach, tonics for the blood, remedies for sleep. Nothing worked. Other healers came to examine him. They looked puzzled and offered suggestions she had already tried. "Give it time," they would say, leaving her frustrated and afraid. She began to work even harder, seeing more patients, searching for answers in old books, experimenting with new combinations of medicines. Surely, if she learned enough, tried enough, worked hard enough, she would find the cure. Her son grew quieter. He stopped asking her to sit with him. When she brought him medicine, he would take it silently, then turn his face to the wall. One evening, an old woman came to her door. She was not sick, she explained, but traveling through and needed shelter for the night. The healer, exhausted from a long day, almost refused. But something in the woman's eyes made her step aside and let her in. They sat together at the table while the healer prepared a simple meal. The old woman asked about her work, and the healer spoke about the patient she'd cured, the treatment she'd mastered, the knowledge she'd gathered. "And your son?" the old woman asked quietly. "The thin boy I saw in the next room." The healer's hands stopped moving. "I can't cure him. I've tried everything." "Have you asked him what's wrong?" "Of course. He says he doesn't know. He's a child. He can't diagnose himself." "That's not what I asked." The old woman's voice was gentle. "I asked if you've listened to him. Really listened. Not as a healer looking for symptoms, but as a mother hearing her child." The healer felt defensive. "I'm with him every day. I bring him medicine. I check his condition." "But do you sit with him? Do you hear what he's not saying?" The words struck something deep. The healer realized she couldn't remember the last time she had simply sat with her son without examining him, without trying to fix him, without working. She had been so busy searching for a cure that she had forgotten to be present. That night, after the old woman had gone to sleep in the guest room, the healer went to her son's bedside. Instead of bringing medicine or checking his pulse, she simply sat down on the edge of his bed. "Tell me about your day," she said softly. He looked at her, surprised. For a moment, she thought he wouldn't answer. Then, quietly, he began to speak. Not about symptoms. About loneliness. About watching her work endlessly while he lay alone. About feeling like a problem she couldn't solve rather than a child she loved. About missing the mother she used to be, before his sickness had turned her into someone desperate and distant. He talked, and she listened. Really listened. Not searching for clues to his illness, but hearing his heart. When he finished, there were tears on both their faces. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I've been so focused on curing you that I forgot to be with you." Something shifted in that moment. She didn't bring him medicine that night. She just stayed, holding his hand, talking quietly about small things, memories from when he was younger, stories about his father, dreams about the future. For the first time in months, he smiled. She began to change her routine. Each evening, before seeing her last patients, she would stop. She would go to her son's room and simply be with him. Not as a healer, but as a mother. They would talk, or sit in comfortable silence, or she would read to him. Slowly, so slowly she almost didn't notice, he began to improve. His appetite returned. His color came back. He started getting out of bed, walking in the garden, helping her gather herbs. She never identified what had been wrong. There was no dramatic cure, no moment of breakthrough. Just gradual healing that came not from medicine, but from presence. Months later, the old woman returned through the town. She stopped at the healer's house and saw the boy playing outside, healthy and laughing. "You found the cure," the old woman said. The healer shook her head. "I stopped trying to cure him. I started being his mother again. Somehow, that was enough." The old woman smiled. "The best healers know Sometimes the medicine isn't in the herbs. It's in the sitting beside. It's in the listening. It's in the being there. She walked on, and the healer stood watching her son play in the fading light. She still treated patients. She still mixed medicines and shared her knowledge. But now, when someone came to her in pain, she would do something new before reaching for her remedies. She would sit with